Let me speak to you, who love God, but are struggling in this area. You say you love this person. You say you intend to get married. You say you don't see the harm, because it's only with them. But I need to ask you an uncomfortable question. If you are already ignoring God's will while dating, what guarantees you will honor Him when you are married? Dating was not created to satisfy desire. It was created for discernment. Dating is a season to observe, to know someone's character, to notice how they react when frustrated, how they treat their parents, how they handle money, how they respond to correction, how they carry responsibility, because in marriage, what sustains you is not chemistry. It is character. At deltar. You don't promise to live on desire. You promise to remain when desire fluctuates. And it will fluctuate. The issue with sex before marriage doesn't begin with the act itself. It begins with a reversal of order. When a relationship starts centered on physical pleasure, that pleasure creates a haze. You become attached to touch. You confuse intensity with depth. You call a hormonal connection spiritual compatibility, and without realizing it, you start ignoring signs that should be flashing red. You see excessive jealousy, but you overlook it. You notice emotional instability, but you justify it. You sense a lack of real commitment, but you smooth it over. Why? Because pleasure creates a premature bond, and that bond makes you less objective. You are no longer just getting to know the person. You are binding yourself to them deeply before a covenant is even made. God did not forbid sex before marriage to limit your joy. He established boundaries to protect your clarity. Sex was created to seal a covenant, not to test compatibility. But we already know we're going to get married. Then why the rush? If the intention is covenant, why live like you're married without the responsibility of marriage? Many couples say they are strong enough to handle it, but the Bible doesn't rely on human strength. It recognizes our weaknesses. Holiness is not about being outdated. It is about being obedient. Today, many convictions have become mere opinions. Culture has changed. Christ has not. And if we are His followers, our standard is not what is common. It is what is holy. There is also a question few people ask. You want someone who can control their impulses, but are you demanding that from yourself? Self-control before marriage is a powerful indicator of faithfulness after it. Marriage is not sustained by sexual intensity. It is sustained by commitment, maturity, forgiveness, and character. When sex enters too early, it can mask the absence of those very foundations. And here's something rarely said. Sometimes you already know there are warning signs. But the fear of losing the person is greater than your desire to please God. So you create justifications. The Lord knows my heart. That's old-fashioned. Everyone does it. God wants me to be happy, but happiness outside. God's will never produces lasting peace. Obedience may feel restrictive at first, but it is protective in the long run. Dating is meant to answer two questions. Do I truly admire this person's qualities? And can I genuinely handle their flaws? Because you don't marry virtues alone. You marry limitations, weaknesses, habits, and imperfections. And when pleasure has already created a deep attachment, it becomes much harder to see those things clearly. If you need sex to keep the relationship alive, perhaps the relationship isn't strong enough to become a marriage. True love can withstand boundaries. If someone walks away because you chose to honor God, perhaps they weren't committed to the same eternal purpose anyway. The biblical standard is not outdated. It is protective. It is not repression. It is direction. It is not about shame. It is about coherence. You want a strong marriage? Then build on rock, not on impulse. Defide faves. Character remains. And in the end, it won't be about how deeply you felt, but how faithfully you lived. If Christ is Lord of your life, He is also Lord of your sexuality. And any area not surrendered is still under negotiation. Reflect on this seriously, not to condemn yourself, but to realign, because a decision made during dating echoes through an entire marriage. Thanks for watching. You are always welcome here. May God continue to bless you. With brotherly love, Minutes of Grace.